Okay, I've had Kobe for about 7 days now, and I'm pretty comfortable with his progress. Basically, we've established that Kobe has a biting problem. The day that I came for the consult and you were having that party, pretty much everybody declared themselves a victim of Kobe biting them.
That is a lot of bark.
Can I let him go?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Is it okay?
He might bite you.
It's
He
okay.
might bite
No,
you.
he isn't.
I get bit all the time.
Hey.
I'm a dog trainer.
Oh, he doesn't like me.
It's okay. It's right. It's okay. There's some teeth. Yeah. You gotta stay back a little bit. How many people has he bitten so far?
Me, her, Dad.
Dad? Dad doesn't seem to care, huh? He bit you too, really?
And another person.
Oh.
Two more, and then left already.
And I requested from y'all to show me what you were talking about when it came to him not wanting to get off the bed.
No! The remote! No! No! Don't bite me.
Now, there are several different types of labels or names we can call aggression. He has territorial aggression because he doesn't like people coming into the house. He has possessive aggression, not wanting to get off the bed, but all of it is fear-based. Therefore, to remedy this kind of fear-based aggression, we need to exude confidence. We need to give him confidence. And by doing that, he can learn to manage his fear. But there are two main steps in order for this to happen. He needs structure and guidance, and he needs to learn to follow us. If we implement the same thing that I've used in this home, in your home, then there's no reason for him to show aggression. So a typical day in the morning involves me grabbing my treat pouch and asking him if he wants to go outside, because I know he really wants to. So when we get to the door, I open the door, but I have the leash on him, and he may try to go outside. But before I do that, I want him to do a simple step for me, a simple request to sit. This helps him understand quite a few things. I want him to understand my space. I want him to understand to follow me, to follow this guidance and structure. And it increases his positive stress. This stress helps him build confidence when he is successful. And I will make sure he's successful. He basically needs to sit, and when he does that, I reward him with that, and I say yes. And I say okay, and I help him go outside. When he goes outside, all that pressure is released, all that positive stress is released, and he gets to play outside. And when he comes inside, before he does that, I ask him to sit again. And if he has trouble with that, I'll push his rear down a little bit until he sits, and I give him another reward. The more I do this, the more and repetitive I am, the more he's capable of doing it. This is positive stress. Learning is positive stress. And when he executes it correctly, his confidence builds. And on top of that, he's following my orders and given guidance and structure. And he's allowed to go inside. And again, when I take the leash off of him, I tell him to stay there. As he waits patiently, I wipe his paws and I give him another reward, another form of guidance and structure in which he should be confident and happy about himself because he did it correctly. This makes a big difference in the outcome of his confidence because he's doing something right every single time, and he's following me for that.
Okay, come on. Yeah. Yes.
Now, there are times that he has these quirks where he may sense a negative vibe from me when I ask him to come to me in a certain place in the house. This may have been induced in the past when one of the owners told me that somebody in the house used to kick him. And so he does have a sense of fear. I mean, this is why he has what he has and does what he does. So whenever I have him go underneath the table or something, I can't allow myself to grab him. I have to pick my battles. I'm not trying to induce more fear and anxiety or negative stress at that. So what I do is use what we call a drag lead. This is a drag lead, which is typically a very long leash without a loop on the end. The reason there isn't a loop on the end is because I don't want it to get snagged on any furniture. He carries this around. It's a very light material, and he drags this around, a drag lead basically. And whenever I need him to come to me, and he's questionable about it, I grab the end of this and I pull him to me, and I say, "Come here," and I'll reward him for that. Everything is a trade-off. I don't try to punish him for running away, even though it's very peevish to see that happening. I have to be understanding that there's a reason why he assumes that there is an ulterior motive. In fact, the day that I went to go pick him up was very difficult because nobody was able to put a leash on him.
You still put the leash
No,
on.
like a long time ago, we didn't bring him into the bathtub using the leash, and now we do because we thought that would be a good idea.
Based on the fact that one of the main reasons a leash is being put on him is to go into the bathroom to take a shower. So needless to say, I need to pick my battles. I need to make sure that he stays clean this entire week I have him, because I don't want to be the one to give him a shower. And so I'm going to use this drag lead whenever I have him questioning or assuming that I'm suspect, and I'm going to use this to pull him. This can also be used for you whenever he gets on that bed and he becomes possessive of the bed. We don't want to kick him off. We don't want to punish him for something that he doesn't quite understand. We're just simply going to always have that treat pouch with us and grab the end of it and say down and pull him down. We've done quite a few training sessions on the couch, and of course the reason why I'm going to be more successful based on my environment, because it's a clean slate. He hasn't established that he owns anything in this house, and I will never let him own anything in this house. That's how you need to establish when we reset and have him come to your home. When he gets on that bed, make sure this drag lead is on him at all times when you're with him. When you're not with him, you can take it off, because we don't want him to get snagged on anything and need help and there's nobody around to help him. But when we get to that scenario when he needs to get on that bed or wants to get on that bed, that's fine, as long as he has this drag lead on him and we can say down and pull him down. The trade-off is a treat, and reward him for that, for getting down. And you can use the drag lead to take him outside if you want to. Also, in order for him to understand that strangers are not all bad, I took the opportunity to take him to Walmart and to strange places to meet cars driving around and people just walking by. Of course, this is stressful, but I know that I haven't passed his threshold and inability to cope based on the fact that he can take treats. So as long as I'm showing him my confidence and my lack of concern and trying to exude that to him, and giving him treats while we're doing this is not an entirely unpleasant scenario for him, where he can absorb and learn from me. So this is another aspect where he's surrendering to my confidence and following me and hoping that everything turns out okay. This is what we want to do in your household. So, induce confidence. Don't act like you're afraid, even though you have every reason to be afraid, because he's bitten you and he showed aggression. When he shows aggression, we can tell him and just use the drag lead to pull him away from the scenario and give him reward for it later on. Of course, we don't want to reward him for aggression, but we will want to reward him for understanding the new scenario, the new reprogramming that we've done after the training. After we've done the Walmart and randomly saw strangers, the next step is actually to meet and greet strangers. So I used a couple of young, confident men that I know, my neighbors, and asked them to participate in Kobe's rehabilitation. So I took him over to their house, and they were able to pet him using my armor just to make sure that everything was okay. And you can see in the video that Kobe did tremble and quiver a bit, but he was capable of taking treats, and he was surrounded by a couple of feral cats, very confident cats, and he did perfectly fine with them. So I was really happy with that result. This is all based on the previous training, learning to follow me and learning to absorb my confidence in the scenario. Till now, I have yet to give him any punishment because he hasn't bitten me. The steps were finally scaffolded so he can understand how to follow and how to absorb my confidence and understand the structure and guidance in this household. After we did the meet and greet over in a neutral area, I decided for my friends to come to my house the next day. In order for this to work correctly, I need Kobe to understand that I take the lead. So I have the drag lead on him. Generally, I always have it on him when I'm around. And I have my neighbors come into the house. I step on the drag lead because all dogs have a proclivity to want to guard their domain. So that's okay. What's not okay is for him to initiate aggressiveness. So barking and growling can be acceptable, but when I pull him back with the drag lead, or I may even have to pop him back a few times and tell him to stay, I show that I'm taking initiative and making sure he understands that he should follow me. And as long as my friends are confident, which they are, and don't show any ulterior motive, then Kobe should be perfectly fine. So that kind of is important when it comes to strangers coming into your home. We need to all be confident that Kobe's going to do okay, and we need to make sure that he's going to do the right thing. If you're not sure he's going to do the right thing, you're not exuding the confidence that you need for him to succeed. So it does get a little tricky, but you need to inform your friends that come into the house that Kobe is an anxious dog, and you need to act confident and ignore him maybe. Don't come up to him, don't tower over him and pet his head and assume that he's going to be okay with it. Most dogs actually aren't okay with strangers petting them on the head. The best thing to do is just have a fist and let him smell your hand and walk away. And eventually you could maybe let him smell your hand as you're going under his head, not over his head, and go to the side or scratch his chest. But don't take your hand and go behind him. Don't take your hand and go above him, because he's not ready for that just yet. But when we execute this properly and we exude confidence, that is the most important factor when it comes to his success. So all in all, after a week, I can confirm that he should be good to go as long as we execute these steps thoroughly and don't just assume that everything's going to be perfectly fine. Kobe will not change overnight. What he's learned, this kind of fear and anxiety, may take over a year of proper following guidance and learning to be confident. It's going to take a while, but it's not too late for him to be a confident and happy dog. And that's really the best case, isn't it? We don't want a dog to be fearful. That is a horrible way to live. So let me know how this works out and keep me posted. All of my clients are family after a session. It's natural for me to have a strong bond with my clients. They're like my children as well. So keep me posted, and I hope all is well. Take care. Bye.